Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Everything Business. All right. So today I'll be looking at a 2014 question. This is a payroll question. Right now, I'm not sure how many of you guys is familiar with payroll, but it is on the syllabus and therefore it is testable. So we are going to just get right into it. We're going to look at this question. As I always say, when you see a question, you should read through the question carefully. All right. Now, for those persons who may not know what payroll accounting is all about, it's really payroll accounting is about calculating the payments or the salary of people, right, or of workers or employees. So that's basically what payroll accounting seeks to do, to calculate the salary, right, of employees, right? There are certain information that you would need to collect when calculating salary for employees, such as the time that they work, the amount of work that they do in some cases, right? But mainly, people are paid based on time. They call it the time rate, right? So that's the most common one, and so that's the one that is most often tested. This question is such, right? Now let's look at this question in more detail. So it says, it's the last question too of the 2014 paper, and I want you to realize that it values 20 marks, right? 20 marks, right? So it says Pets Plus prepares weekly payrolls for 2 employees hired on the following terms. So we have 2 employees, we have a sales attendant and we have a cashier. The normal rate of pay is $10 for the sales attendant and $120 per day for the cashier. The normal working hours, right, or days for the sales attendant is 40 hours, for the cashier is 5 days. And then in the last column, they give us the time that they work. So the sales attendant work 45 hours. Obviously, would have done 5 hours overtime. Cashier works 5 days. No overtime there, no extra time. First question, 7A, it says, list 2 basic source documents used in preparing payrolls. So you can say the time card or the timesheet, right? Those are 2 documents that are used. Part B, it says distinguish between voluntary deductions and statutory deductions. Now, voluntary deductions are deductions that are taken out of your salary based on the instruction of the employee. So, for example, you want to pay your car loan, and you instruct, right, your employers to take that money out of your salary to pay the bank. Or, you take a furniture on hire purchase and you instruct your employer to make payments from your account on your behalf. So that's voluntary deduction. Then you have statutory deduction. The word statutory means legal or law. So these are deductions that by law have to come out of your money, out of your salary, whether you like it or not, right? For example, income tax, right? Insurance, right? And the statutory deductions will vary or may vary depending on the country that you are in. But it's those things that are taken out of your salary. You don't have any control over that. Neither your employers. They have to do it based on by law. Part C, it says complete the Pets Plus payroll sheet that's provided as an insert for the week ended the 26th of April 2014, and considering the following additional information. Now this paper 2014, the CXC examinations were not done in booklets, right? You were given a question paper and you were given an answer booklet, right? Nowadays, everything is in one. So it's one booklet with the answer paper, with the questions, and then the space provided for you to answer. So you were given an insert in this instance where you should write in your information. All right, so we are given information such as the overtime rate, and they are very kind to us here, right, by showing us how to calculate the overtime rate. They could have simply had said overtime is paid at time and a half, right? And then you would have to know that it is 1.5 multiplied by the normal rate to get how much the time and a half rate is, right? But they give you the formula on how to calculate it here. Social Security, and they have in bracket here, tax deductible, 5%. Now, what it means when it says tax deductible, right, is that for Social Security and for pension fund, you are going to subtract this, right? When it says tax deductible, it means that it will be taken out. It will be taken out of your gross salary. And so when you are calculating your net salary or your net pay, right, the income tax, right, it is not taxable. The amount that you'll calculate your income tax on is the reduced rate. So you will pay less for income tax, right? So that's what it means when it says tax deductible, right? So you will subtract it from your gross pay first before you calculate the income tax. And by virtue of doing that, you are paying less for income tax, right? Yeah, so that's I guess that's a good thing. Yeah. All right. Then you have the income tax, which is 10%. And to make up the payroll sheet, it is 16 marks. So let us look at what I did here. So this is my payroll sheet, right? So this is the payroll sheet that they had given, right? So the first, it is pretty simple, right? So they draw up everything there for you already. So they have the employee, sales attendant, cashier, the pay rate, right? You simply put in the pay rate. So the pay rate, here it is, $10 per hour for the sales attendant, the cashier, $120 per day. So you put that in right here, all right? Then you have the normal hours or days that are worked. They give you that information already. See it here, normal hours or days, 40 for the sales attendant, 5 days for the cashier, and you put in that right there, all right? Then you have the overtime hours that are worked. As was said earlier, it is obvious, right, that the sales attendant work 5 hours overtime. You may wonder how I get 5 hours if the normal work hours for the week is 40 hours. So the sales attendant is supposed to work 40 hours for the week. But then when you look at the information here, it says that they had worked 45 hours. So you would simply subtract the 40 from the 45 and you would get 5. All right. So the overtime hours that is worked by the sales attendant is 5 hours. For the cashier, did not work any extra day, right? So nothing goes there. Then now the calculation begins. So you are to calculate the normal rate of pay. All right, the normal rate of pay would be the pay rate multiplied by the normal hours, right? So you take out your calculator and you say 10 multiplied by 40, right? 40 hours, which would equal to 400, right? Because they get paid $10 per hour. So it is $400 for the sales attendant. For the cashier, right, it is 120, which is the rate of pay for 1 day, and they did 5 days, or the person did 5 days. So multiply by 5 equal 600. So that is how I got the 600. You add both of them and you get this 1,000 right here. All right. Hope you're following me. It's pretty simple. You don't have to worry. Then now we're going to calculate the overtime pay, right? I even have the little calculation here in my paper that I wrote down. So it says the overtime pay, right? It is time and a half. Time and a half. So this is how you calculate it. And as I said before, they are very kind in giving you the formula. In some other questions that I will look at another time, they don't give you the formula. They just tell you that it is either time and a half or double time or time and a quarter. Those are the more common overtime rates. All right, so we are going to say 1.5 multiplied by the normal rate, which is $10, right? 1.5 multiplied by the normal rate, which is $10, and that would give us 75 right here, right? So the overtime pay, so it is 10 multiplied by 1.5 equal 15, which is now the new overtime rate, and the person did 5 hours, so you're going to multiply the 15 by 5, give us 75. So that is how I got the 75 here. All right, so that's the new overtime pay. So when you calculate the 10 multiplied by the 1.5, you are calculating the overtime rate, right? Because the normal rate is $10 per hour. Now the overtime rate would be $15 per hour, and you times that by 5, right? And you get $75 for the 5 hours worked overtime. Now let's calculate the gross pay. So the gross pay, for those persons who may not remember or know, gross pay is that pay before deductions are taken out. It is the pay that people love to see, right, on your pay slip, right? And so in calculating the gross pay, it is your normal pay plus your overtime pay will give you your gross pay. So it is 400 plus the 75, which is 475. 600, we didn't have any overtime pay for the cashier, so it's the gross pay is $600. And you add both of them to get the 1,075 down here at the bottom, right? Now we're going to be calculating the deductibles, right? Or the statutory deductions. So Social Security is a statutory deduction that must be taken out of people's salary. So the Social Security is 5%. It would be 5% of your gross pay, right? So it's 5% of $475. So how you would type that in a calculator? You would say 5 divided by 100, or you can say 0.05, right? So look at it here, 0.05, multiply now by 475, and that would give you $23.75, as is indicated right here. You would follow the same procedure for the cashier, right? So it is 0.05 multiplied by 600, and that would give you 30, right? So that is the Social Security for the cashier. And you add both of them, you get the 53.75. 1%, right, is the pension fund, which is also tax deductible, right? So you calculate 1% of the $475, you get $4.75. 1% of 600 is 6, and so we calculate the pension fund. Now you see they have here taxable income, right? Taxable income, and the reason for that is what I was explaining earlier. The tax deductible, right, must be subtracted from the gross pay to get your taxable income. So these two, Social Security and pension fund, they are tax deductible, which means that they must be subtracted from your gross pay to get your taxable income. So you would add both these two figures, the $23.75 plus the $4.75, right? You would subtract it from the 475, and you would get $446.50, right? And that's the taxable income. Likewise, for the cashier, it would be $600 minus $36, which would give you the $564 here. So these two deductions, the Social Security and the pension fund, are tax deductible, so you should take them away from your gross pay to get your taxable income now. All right. Now that you have your taxable income, you can calculate now your income tax, which is 10% of your taxable income. Not 10% of your gross pay, no, 10% of your taxable income, right? So you're going to calculate the income tax. 10% of $446.50 is $44.06, and 10% of $564 is $56.40, right? Then you add both of them to get the 101 at the bottom there. And then now you have your total deductions. Your total deductions would be the summation of Social Security, pension fund, and income tax. So you add these three deductions, right, to get the $73.01 and the $92.40, right? And then now, to calculate your net pay now, you would subtract your total deduction from your gross pay to get your net pay, which is $401.90 rather for the sales attendant, and $507.60 for the cashier. Your net pay is that pay that you get, your take-home pay, so to speak, right? It is the pay that you get after you have taken out deductions. All right. So this is it, and this is how you do a payroll. And this is 20 marks. Difficulty level of this question, I would say, it's pretty simple. It's not difficult. I would say this is a 5, right? The only difficult part of this question is to know what the tax deductible means and to know that concept of tax deductible, right? But apart from that, it's fairly easy. All right, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative. See you in the next one.